This is Rebecca, the Steampunk Planner, and we are going to be talking cleaning our fountain pens. I have 3 fountain pens, actually 4, that need cleaning before storage, and my other one is right here. So at this moment, I'm not going to clean them all, but I want to take you through how I do clean and other options and ways of cleaning. What are you going to need? Well, number one, I always hold on to my boxes. And I need to get my Scribner box. So I hold on to my boxes because right now I don't have a way of storing my fountain pens that I like. And I've tried different ways. I've tried the drawer thing, didn't like them. I tried the case, which you have seen right here, that now holds all of my drawing nibs in it because I prefer the longer fountain pens. Now I do have a wood tabletop set where they are able to sit in, but that's not for long-term storage as far as I'm concerned. I really want to make sure that my pens are well cared for while they're stored as well as while I'm using it. What I have right here are items that I use to clean my pens. Now, number one, of course, roll of paper towels. Normally, I do this at the sink, only because it's just a whole lot easier and I have easier access to water. When I am working at the sink, I always make sure the stopper is in, and I will put 2 to 3 paper towels over the drain. That way, if I drop anything, it doesn't go down the drain and I say hasta la vista to my pen. So in here, these 3 bottles are pivotable. Okay, let's try that differently. These 3 bottles are important to cleaning your pens, along with this little guy. Reason is there's different ways that you may need to get to clean your pen because it's not working the traditional way. So this jar here is actually a seed jar. I take this vitamin and it comes in a glass jar. I didn't have to pay anything more for that. This one is the tallest jar, so this one holds the clean water. This one, back from when I used to have my salon and did nails, this was a nib cleaning jar. It came with my set, and so I didn't have to pay extra for that. It is glass, and this one has a little bit of water in it, and it is set aside for when I need to soak nibs. This jar is another, I don't even know where I got that from, but it's a glass jar. And you can use baby food jars. And actually, I think I do remember where this one came from. This is where I had some tea in this jar, as in the flakes and all. So you do not, if you have glass jars, could it be that you get the jar form of your herbs, or you get tea in jars, you get vitamins in jars. Doesn't matter if they're a glass jar, hold on to them and you're going to reuse them for your fountain pens. This one is empty. That is because that is the one where all of the dirty water goes into, so I'm not getting this one dirty again. This helps you to clean out or force out water through your pen. And this comes with your Goulet pen flush set, which can be purchased through Goulet. This, all you have to do in Amazon is put in fountain pen cleaning, and one of these should show up. And it will always have the explanation thereof. This is going to make it so much easier to do which is what we're going to be doing today. I am going to lay out a bunch of paper towels, and I have the Bounty, what are they, quarter sheets, half sheets, whatever. So those are right here off screen, and I have the roll here off screen as well. Now you can use tissue, but you're going to go through way too many tissues than you think. So paper towels, especially Bounty or Viva, are excellent in this situation. We're going to go with the Pilot first. One of the things that I like to do is have the case in hand. I will remove or shift everything that is in it over to the side. And this way, while I'm cleaning, everything can sit in the case. I know what pen it belongs to, and I don't have anything running around all over the place. So you can see right here, the pen is empty. But because it has this wonderful converter, I can go ahead and make sure to pull everything down or push everything down and then pull up water into the converter. You can see there's ink still in here, and put it out. You see how the ink just dumped in there? So I'm going to go in, grab more water. Now, when you do this, when you go back into the nib or the clean water, the nib is and feeder are going to dump. So right now I'm coming over with the plunger all the way down, or the piston all the way down on here, and I've wrapped the paper towel around the feeder and the nib, allowing what water and ink that is in both to come out into the paper towel. Now we're going to grab more water. Even if I was by the sink, I would still have these jars with me. So I'm just going to pull a little bit out of the feeder and all. And then something else you could do instead of going and doing the paper towel is clean the feeder off, go back in, or the nib off, go back in, pull some more water. You know there's going to be ink in it. So this is going to be a trial of patience, is what I'm going to call it, because you really do need to have patience in this. What you are looking for in the end is a feeder that comes up completely clear, no ink whatsoever. Now on this next pull, I'm going to show you, I'm going to move this bottle because I want the light to come through. When I did that first pull, you saw how dark that ink was in there. That's where we're at right now. So we're almost clear. Now, I do recommend that you use distilled water, because any heavy metals or anything in your regular water will cause issues in your pens, especially if you're going to store your pens for a little bit. So let me do one more pull. I was just checking in the paper towel what the nib was telling me. And the nibs did show. Let me show you this. You saw what the first pull was, and this is after this pull. So we're almost there. And one of the things that I often will do outside of putting the paper towel to the feeder to help with any ink that might be there is I will shake it. Because that will help loosen up any particles that may actually be what this is pulling. Because the converter can actually have issues in it too. I'm going to grab paper towel, and Q-tips would be helpful as well, but I'm going to use this paper towel and get what's inside because it's just in the edge right there. But you could use Q-tips to pull that out. And I now know the converter is clear. So that is telling me that this still has fluid in it. So I'm actually going to push fluid through that way. And then check it one more time by gently wrapping the paper towel around the feeder. I'm not squeezing it. I'm letting the paper towel do the job itself, because that's why I'm using the Bounty. Bounty is the quicker picker upper. So it's going to pull anything and everything fluid out of that nib. I don't have to do anything but hold it. Now at this point, just to get the nib completely cleaned, I could take that apart, but I'm not a professional. I rather would not. I really, really rather not. So at this point, what I'm going to do is clean the feeder itself until my paper towel is just wet with no color. And there it is, wet with no color. Okay, so this one I'm satisfied that it is clear. I'm going to put the converter back in. And because I have everything off to the side here and I didn't have anything roll off the table, I'm going to go ahead and close it back up. At this point, I could, if I really wanted to, go ahead and use the Goulet pen flush and put that through. I would rather at this point not worry about doing that. This only had a light gray in it, but it is a smart idea to do it, I will say. Now here I am working on the Ritma. This is the Ritma Espresso. And Ritma is a Mount Verde. And I actually had the Coffee Monster ink by Robert Oster and Coffee Monster Co. in this one. So I am just doing the same exact, because it has the converter, same exact steps. Let's take a check on how this is looking. Again, I'm just holding it, the nib in, and it is almost already clean. But I did see that the water was not clean when I pulled it the last time, so let's give it a couple more goes. Much better. So now what I'm going to do is exactly the same I did with my previous, and that is to pull this out, take and clean the converter, because I can see that there is color on the converter. And the converter on this one is very similar to the attachment on here. So I'm going to put this attachment in and finish forcing water through. And then what's great about these is back when in the 20 years ago, when I was having to clean my pens, it was a fight because you only had the cartridges. So it was very, very difficult to get them clean other than having the whole thing soak. But then you had to deal with the fact of, are you corroding or causing the breakdown of your pen? And then there were I call them it's probably not what they're called, but I call them the snot plungers. And those are the blue, they actually look exactly like this, except they're larger. They help remove the congestion for babies. So you would push it in, this part in. They would go gently into just a little bit into the nose, and you would bring it out, and it had taken up the snot. That's why I call them snot plungers. But now they have thought it through, because what you used to have to do is widen the end so that they would go over any pen cartridge area. And then that's how you would put water through to plunge it. And it was a mess. It was annoying. I wasn't a happy camper. For the most part, I was not able to change out colors or anything like that. So, and honestly, if I'm being really honest, and 20 years ago, blue and black was the main thing, unless you got blue black. So now my Ritma is going into its case. So let's look at the Scrivener. So Scrivener, let's take a look and see how this is going to turn. Now it has a converter as well. This one I had writer's blood in. So I will say reds and blacks really can take a while to get out of your pen. You can see what it does here. Now this is a diamine. They are really heavy pigmented. Right now I'm just shaking. You can see how the ink is just flying everywhere. This one's going to take a bit of time. Now I am not going over and rinsing the nib off. I am just going back into the clean water because I'm going to have to switch everything out. So I'm going to go do that and be right back. I'm going to let the towel continue to drain everything and I'll be back. Okay, I have been working with this off camera for a while and I've already emptied and refilled this twice, and you can see how much I still have in this. So I'm going to actually, so that I'm not dirtying this one so much, I'm actually using the nib water. And what I'm going to do now is I am going to pull this apart. When you're using the Goulet pen flush while I'm letting this soak, this is the directions on it. Clean the pen with distilled water, drawing it into the converter and flushing it until the water runs clear. When the water is clear, pour approximately 4 mL of flush into the included vial, which is that. Using the vial, fill the pen with the Goulet flush and flush it, repeating to remove any excess ink from the pen when clean. Fill and flush with clean water to remove any residue. So that's how you would use the Goulet. I am not a big fan of extra work. So that's one of the reasons why I don't do that. But when I am working with my really high end, which for me right now, high end means my Esterbrook and my Leonardo, then yes. One thing about the Scrivener fountain pens is their converters actually screw in. They don't just push in. I am not seeing any ink in the converter, so I'm going to let that to the side, which means the rest of the ink is actually in the nib. So let's grab some clean water, put that in, and push it through, because this is going to be so much faster than the converter. I got the majority of it out with a converter. Now let's not fight with it anymore. So here you go. And you could even do this with the flush, is my opinion. If you want it to do a quickie, that sounded bad, but you know what I mean. But again, it's up to you on if you want to do a flush or not. So I'm going to clean the nib and see where we are from there. And the nib is still telling me that there's a lot of ink in there, even though the water was running clear. So this time, instead of really squeezing it out fast, I'm going to squeeze this out, push the water through it slower. And then on the next one, I am going to put it over the feeder on its own. Let that feeder soak it, and then rinse. And I'm not going to repeat yet. I got to make sure, find out how good this is. Nope, it's still showing me there's a lot of ink in there. I'm going to let this, which is why I have this here, I'm going to soak this for a few minutes. I'm going to put the converter back on it. That way it does not fall into the water. And we're going to grab another pen. This happens. So the other one that I needed to clean is another Ritma. And this one had the Jacques Herbin's Shogun in it. And I did that because I really did not want it to dump black all into this clean water. I need to keep it as clean as somewhat possible. One of the things that, since we're doing this, that I did want to share that I found with these Ritmas, there was a lot. They are the magnetic pens, which means the cap is magnetic to the top here, so it slides on and immediately grabs. But it also, when it posts, there's a magnetic here. Okay, but that causes weight. Something else I have found, their converters do not like to pull ink at all. They're just stubborn. And it was not even wanting to pull the water. And that's not the nib. If it was the nib, then none of it would have pulled through. It's like the cartridges only allow for you to fill it halfway. So that's why these are going to be stored. And this is definitely what I'm saying, where this is where the patience and cleaning comes. Because I still plan to use the Scrivener if I want to do another, some more of the writer's blood. There are certain pens that I have found that really work with specific inks and specific ink coloring, because inks, when pigments are added into inks, it can cause the inks to not want to flow through certain nibs, and you wind up having to have a specialty nib or have it worked by a nib specialist, when honestly it's the ink that's causing the issue, not necessarily the nib. So before you have the nib worked and customized for a specific ink, make sure that that is the ink that you're going to be using for that pen, or even the ink company like Diamine. They really pack a punch when it comes to their inks, hence what we're doing here. They also put a lot of shimmer in their inks. So you're going to need a fountain pen nib that allows for more of a wet right for it to work. But say it's a fountain pen that you want to use it for your Pilot or the Atramentis or any other inks that you love, then you might want to look at getting two pens. No, I'm not trying to make you spend money, but you can have one pen, like I have my Ritma in the espresso. That one can be for any ink whatsoever that I want to use it for. But maybe I have the Ritma that's black. Maybe that one is not going to be used for anything but my Diamine, which means I can have that nib customized to write wetter. Or maybe that one is going to be a medium nib instead of a fine nib, because medium is going to write wetter. Your stubs are going to write wetter. So definitely look at your broad also. There was one I knew I missed, are going to write wetter. So you may need to look at it that way instead of, oh, there's something wrong with the nib. No, that ink just is not one to let loose. I'm going to continue working on this. I hope you're taking good care of your fountain pens and that these tools that I have here have helped you with that journey to keep your fountain pen working well. And I will see you in the next one.